Sony is not at E3 2019, so no big press conference with new gameplay from The Last of Us Part 2 and Ghost of Tsushima, for example. Microsoft doesn't have a booth at the show, Activision is missing on the show floor as well, and Bethesda said that they would not talk about Starfield or The Elder Scrolls 6 at this year's show. So it's an in-between year. The next-gen consoles will not hit this year, but in 2020. So people are holding their cards to their chest. I still think though that there are a ton of great reasons to be excited for this year's E3 that starts on June 9th. And I will tell you why in this video and also what games you can expect here on the channel during the E3 period. So let's get into it. It would be awesome if you could leave a like on the video as it shows your support, and let's go. The Microsoft E3 2019 press conference will be its longest yet. The Brazilian Xbox shared that the show will be around the 2 hours. While Rishu on Reset Era noted that last year's show was around the 104 minutes long, so this one looks to be even bigger. And can I remind you that we saw some pretty awesome titles last year, like Cyberpunk 2077. CD Projekt Red noted that this will be their biggest E3 ever, so totally expect a Cyberpunk 2077 gameplay blowout during the Microsoft show or E3 in general. I already got my appointment ready for a special presentation, so can't wait to see what they have in store, and we'll bring you all the info here on the channel. CD Projekt Red always said that they would release another unannounced game before 2021. It's smaller in scope compared to Cyberpunk, but still should be very interesting. I mean, if the game has to come out next year, then why not showcase it for the first time at this year's E3? Cyberpunk 2077 was for many people the game of the show last year, and we saw why thanks to the gameplay demo that they later released. So a ton of new info and gameplay from that game is already more than welcome and makes watching the Microsoft press conference or E3 in general already worth it. So will they showcase that again at the end of the press conference or maybe at the start? We will have way more big third-party games at the show though. Last year Microsoft showcased Dying Light 2 for example as well, the big first-person zombie open world game that will now put a big focus on the choices that will impact the world. The game has been in development for a while now and they will show their progress at E3 as they already confirmed via a tweet. I also got an appointment to see this one and really looking forward to it, so expect a video on Dying Light 2 as well. And again, this will just be the tip of the iceberg. There is this rumored From Software game in collaboration with Game of Thrones writer George R.R. Martin. According to rumors, it's called Great Rune and should be an open world twist on the From Software formula. Like you're riding on horseback, you have to kill some kings in a world. You see Sekiro Shadows Die Twice footage here, and that was announced last year during the Xbox show, so I would not be surprised, and rumors suggest this as well, that this new From Software game will already be showcased at the Microsoft press conference. Microsoft will very likely have a ton of big reveals. Even if you only own a PS4, it will be worth watching because most of these games will likely be cross-platform anyways. But sure, they will have their announced exclusives there as well, like Halo Infinite or Gears of War 5. Also, the new exclusive studios should stop by, including the ones that they bought last year at E3. Will they reveal that rumored new Fable game? Who knows, it might be time. It's clear that Microsoft will go big this year. They have to show everyone that they are still in it to win. And with Sony now skipping this year, they got the show all to themselves. All eyes will be on Xbox, and a leaked email from Phil Spencer already suggests that they will go big at E3 this year. I mean, they have to. They are behind, so they have to show this year why they deserve to be number one. It's very likely that they will talk about next gen as well. Sony shared some details about the PlayStation 5 before E3 now, so now it's Xbox turn, and this isn't really exciting because they will share new info that we don't know about. But also, if they go the extra mile and really show you why you must invest in the next Xbox, already show you next-gen games, then Sony can't be left behind. Then I totally think that Sony has to counter this by showcasing their own next-gen plans. So apart from big game reveals of games that we don't know about, Cyberpunk 2077 and other already announced titles that will be there, this show will be very interesting for the future of the industry as well. If they blow everyone away with next-gen talk and next-gen games, and it is in their greatest interest to do that, then Sony has to show Horizon 2 or other next-gen projects in the future as well to counter the Xbox message. This E3 2019 show from Microsoft will be extremely important and exciting for that reason alone. But there are way more publishers this year that got new games and unannounced titles to show. Ubisoft wants to release free unannounced games before April 2020, with Breakpoint launching in October of this year as well. So we will already see a ton of that this year at their Ubisoft press conference, but we also get announcements of at least 3 unknown titles. So that should be exciting. Watch Dogs 3 is of course heavily rumored, so it might be that we see that, and then likely 2 surprises. I totally expect an update on Beyond Good and Evil 2 as well, and then you already got a pretty packed show with a lot of interesting things to look forward to. I at least will be covering all of it here on the channel. Can't wait to see what other games they got alongside Ghost Recon Breakpoint, and of course what they will show for Breakpoint as well. Sony will totally be missed at this year's E3, but we still get something to watch on their press conference time slot. Square Enix will namely showcase their games during that Monday night time frame. They recently teased the return of the Final Fantasy VII Remake with more info in June, so I totally expect to see that there. But Square Enix owns multiple big studios, including Eidos Montreal, responsible for Shadow of the Tomb Raider and Deus Ex. They got multiple teams, and some of them have been quiet for some time now. Rumors suggest that they got a Guardians of the Galaxy game cooking, so maybe we see a glimpse of that. And speaking of Marvel, they recently announced that we will see their long in development Avengers game for the very first time. It was announced in January of 2017 as a collab between Crystal Dynamics from the Tomb Raider games and also Eidos Montreal. And it looks to be an epic action adventure that combines cinematic storytelling with continuous single player and co-op gameplay, according to the leaked listing on the E3 Coliseum site, as found by Evan. You might know his channel. Anyway, this sounds of course very interesting indeed. So yes, the Square Enix show on the Sony time slot will totally be one to keep an eye on for sure. And when we're talking about superheroes, it's hard to not mention Warner Bros. Because they likely have 2 big superhero games in development. One from the Batman Arkham studio, Rocksteady. This is supposed to be a big one with a group of heroes. Their last game came out in 2015, Batman Arkham Knight, so they have been working on this for quite a while. It's rumored to have multiplayer and likely will be some sort of service game with a big post-launch plan. Then we also have the rumored Warner Bros. Montreal game that could be a new Batman game, just like Arkham Origins that they made before this. Maybe we'll see one of those titles at E3. I think it could be time for sure. And let's not forget some of the big games that are already announced, like the new Star Wars from Respawn that should get a ton of new gameplay this Saturday before E3, so on June 8th during EA Play. Looks like it will be an interesting single player adventure with more open levels, just like God of War. So I'm totally curious to see how that game plays. Borderlands 3 will of course have a big showing. They announced that we will see a new Vault Hunter that we haven't seen gameplay of yet. So either the Beastmaster or the Gunner who can summon this big mech. We will see a new planet that we haven't seen before. So a ton of gameplay. I also have an appointment for Borderlands 3. So I will bring you all the info here too. The Outer Worlds looks pretty promising too, a smaller sort of Fallout type of game from the original creators. I got an appointment with that as well, and I really look forward to seeing that one too. And speaking of Fallout, Bethesda will of course also be at the show. They got a new Doom and the Wolfenstein spin-off planned for this year, so they will totally showcase that during their press conference. But I really hope to see the first glimpse of what the Dishonored 2 dev team Arcane Studios has been working on for a few years now. Dishonored is over for now, so this has to be a new IP that these guys and girls that only made amazing games in my opinion are cooking over there. So I can't wait to see what they will come up with next. Seems like the perfect announcement for E3 2019 in my opinion. If I look at E3 2020 and 2020 as a game year in general, I get even more excited, of course, like Ubisoft will showcase the new Assassin's Creed next year, the new Far Cry likely, and the next gen consoles will be out that fall and will likely have been revealed next year. So I expect Sony to return to E3 with their next gen games like the new Horizon and maybe even Spider-Man 2 already. So yes, that will be really insane, but I still think that E3 2019 will be great. It will be the lead up to that. It's now the end of this console generation, so game developers know how to fully utilize the systems, and we will see that in the massive new games that will be showcased. I got a packed schedule for this year's E3 with only games that I'm interested in and curious about, and I can't wait to bring you all the coverage here on the channel. So yes, totally subscribe for a ton of E3 2019 coverage of the best games that will be at the show. A like on this video would of course be super appreciated, and check out my Ghost Recon Breakpoint video with all your biggest questions answered. I will have a lot of content about that game from E3. So for now, I will speak to you next time. E3 is really close. I really can't wait, and goodbye.